Hello, wonderful soulmate. I'm so excited to have you back to my channel. My name is Merci, and this is Merci Posh Stitches. If you're new to my channel, you're highly welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you are welcome as well, and I really appreciate the fact that you came around once again. So today's tutorial will be on this beautiful classic dress, and that is what we're going to be learning how to make. So this is a full tutorial with the drafting, cutting and stitching down. Okay, so this dress has a cold shoulder sleeve, and I urge you to stay tuned, watch this video to the end, and you'll see that it is very easy and simple to make this dress. So this is the fabric I'm working with, and this is a crepe fabric. I think they call it Duchess or something like that, and it's part of crepe, as in it is crepe family. So I have 3 years, and it's non-stretchy. It's not really stretchy. It's not. One side is just a bit stretchy, just is as in little bit of stretchiness on one side, and the other part is not stretchy at all. So what I did is I folded my fabric and I cut out what I'll be needing for the front part. Okay, so this part we're going to be working with here is the front part, and what I'm doing here is to place my tape on the starting line. That is the part where I'm using as my shoulder line. That is where I place my tape, and I proceeded to mark my chest line, I mark my bust point line, I mark my waistline, and I set aside about 10 inches. Yes, about 10 inches. Okay, for my length, that is 10 inches from the waistline. Okay, so that also include 1 inch, but 1 inch allowance. Okay, so what you're going to do is that after getting your waist, you are going to measure from your waist to your hip, then you mark, then you can set aside extra 2 inches away from your shoulder to your hip. Okay, if you want the curve to go down very well. So having done that, I went on to divide my shoulder by 2. I marked the measurement on the shoulder line and on the chest line, that is after labeling my lines, and I sloped my shoulder by half of an inch. Then my neck width is 3 inches. Okay, so I proceeded to use my straight ruler to make my shoulder slope like this, and I will divide what I have on this armhole line here to get the midpoint and come in by 0.5 inches. Okay, so I'll also divide my bust circumference by 4. I'll mark it on the chest line, then I'll get my curve ruler to connect in order to have my front armhole curve. Okay, so um like I said earlier, my name is Merci, and I am a passionate fashion designer and tailor. I love sewing a lot, and I love teaching people how to sew. Like, it has always been my passion to teach, but then God wanted the teaching to be on the sewing, as in the fashion way. Okay, so I love what I'm doing because it's something I have passion for. Like, it's something I do, whether I am being paid for it or not. I love doing it. So the next thing I did was to measure my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I mark it on the waistline, and also came down from the waist to my I came down from the waist 4.5 inches and mark. Then on both line on the waist, I subtracted half an inch on both of the line, and I'm going to be connecting down to the 4.5 inches below the waist and also up to the bust point line like this. By so doing, we have our waist dart. Okay, so I love to teach a lot, and I want you to be free, feel free to ask questions when you are not clear. Okay, when you are confused, there's something you don't understand very well, go on and ask question. And as a passionate teacher, I'll be very glad to attend to your question. Okay, so after marking my dart, I proceeded to mark my circumferences. That is my nipple to nipple, as in my bust round bust measurement divided by 4. I marked it on the chest line, bust point line, then the waist circumference divided by 4, I mark it on the waist and also replace my 1 inch for that. Then down here I measured my hip circumference divided by 4 and mark it as well. So because I'm working on my main fabric, I added my allowance of 2 inches for ease allowance and for hemming allowance, and I proceeded to connect like this. Okay, so after doing that, I will work on the neckline. So I'm going to first of all come down by 3 inches for my neck depth, then after which, to achieve that small round opening, I came down again 2.5 inches. Now I want the wideness of that opening to be about 1.5 inches. So what I'm going to do here is to mark 0.75, and I connected. So by the time I open it up, I am going to use the joining allowance to achieve, as in turning allowance. When I turn it, the allowance I use for turning is going to make the opening to be more wider, thereby giving me exactly what I want for the roundness of the opening. Okay, so at the end I will have about 1.5 inches for the whole roundness of the opening, or 1.75. Okay, so that is what I did here, and I proceeded to connect my neckline. Now it's time to cut out, and after cutting out, it will be time for us to go to the next one. Okay, so feel free to ask question about this tutorial or other ones I have made. Just go under the video and drop your question, and I will attend to it. Okay, so I love sharing my sewing knowledge, and I love showing people how to do what I know how to do. Okay, that is my passion, that is what I love to do. So you don't have any reason to be scared that your question will not be attended to, or that you might be ignored. No, I will definitely attend to your question as long as it is related to what I do here. Okay, so you can see the opening here and the way it look. So I'm going to get the back part, and here I have it. So I proceeded to get my length, and I'm setting aside zipper allowance here of 1.5 inches, and that is what I've done. So I have 1.5 inches here for zipper allowance. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark on my lines. Okay, I'm going to mark on my lines the way I did for the front parts. Okay, so I'll be marking from the shoulder to my chest line, then to my bust point line, that is from the shoulder, then also to my waistline. Then I'll set the same inches I set aside after my waistline. I'll set the same inches as the front and label them as well. Okay, so here on this channel, like I was saying, I share DIYs, I share pattern drafting, I teach how to cut, how to sew, and how to neatly finish your outfit. Okay, and I teach trendy styles that are very very trendy, styles that are that are trending. Okay, and I try as much as possible to make sure that I break it down in a way you will understand. Okay, so that is what I do here. So if you're coming across here for the first time, you are in the right place, especially if you love sewing. Okay, so after sloping my shoulder by 1 inch like I did for the front part, I measured and divided my armhole line to 2 to get the midpoint, and I also mark my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line and connected. Okay, to form our back armhole. Now I am using 2.5 inches for my neck depth. Remember, my neck width remains the same as the front, which is 3 inches. Then the depth for the back is 2.5 inches. Do you get that? And I proceeded to connect with my curve ruler. Okay, so having done that, it's time for me to get my waist dart again for the back, and I divide my nipple to nipple by 2. So when you measure your nipple from one nipple to the another, whatever you get, divide it by 2, and that is what you're marking. Then on from the waistline, I marked 4.5 inches down again, right? Then on both side of the dot line around the waistline, I went in and out by 0.5 inches again. Now notice that the dot for the back part will go as up as chest line, but the one of the front stopped around the bust point line. Okay, so I want you to take note of all of this so that it will guide you when you're making yours. So after that, I went on to measure my bust circumference divided by 4 and mark it on the chest line and on the bust point line. I also measure my waist circumference divided by 4, mark it on the waistline, and replace my dart because that is exactly where our dart is. Okay, so the hip line also I measured it divided by 4 and mark it. Then I proceeded to add my allowance and connected. So you can see we are done drafting the back part as well, and I will just do a small contouring here on the waist by going in 0.75 and curving out like this on the down part and also on the upper part. This is to eliminate zipper bulge from the back, okay, from the back waistline. Okay, having done that, you can see that we are done, and I'll proceed to cutting. After cutting out, I will show you the next stage. All right, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere. So I was done cutting out, as you can rightly see here, and the next thing I'm going to do is to get the lining for the neckline. So we're not using full lining, I'm using small lining which I cut out with the fabric, and this is what we have. I cut out the exact one for the front and also these two pieces for the back. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to fuse my extra to it, which is what I've just done. I fuse my extra to my lining piece, and it's time to use it to turn the neckline. So the first thing I'm going to do is I went on to sew my dart frosting, and after which I am going to be pinning down my lining to my front, okay, to the neckline. So I'll be sewing this round part first. I will sew it, notch it, and top stitch on it before I sew the main neckline. Okay, so by sewing the round one first, notching it and top stitching on it will enable, as in will make it very easy for me to notch and top stitch. But when you sew it and sew the main neckline along everything together, it will be difficult for you to top stitch on it. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So I'll first of all secure my pins and I'll stitch down, and I'm going to show you what we have. Okay, so I was done stitching, and like I said, I stitched this round part first and gave it a very good notch and top stitch on it. Okay, so I am going to show you the top stitching I did. You can see it's very neat on the lining piece. You're top stitching on the lining piece, after which I now turn the main neckline. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. So this main neckline now, I'm going to just hand tack it here, bring it together like this after sewing, and hand tack it. Okay, so now I am going to repeat the same process on the back part, but before then I am going to make a one-time fold on the neckline of this front. Okay, on the hem I'll just make a one-time hem. Then this back part I am going to sew my dart and also turn the neckline with my lining piece, after which I will join the two shoulders. Okay, so I proceeded to turn the back neckline with my lining piece, and I will be placing it to the front, right side facing right side like this, and I am going to ensure that the part where the lining is joined to the main fabric aligned and matches each other of both the front and the back. As you can see, I will align it this way, and I'm going to pick up my pin and properly secure it. And after securing it, I am going to join it. Okay, so that is what you see me doing here, and I will join from here down like this. Okay, so I went on to do that and make a one-time fold like I said. So after joining the shoulder, I open iron it, and that is why you see it staying flat. And I proceeded to make a one-time fold all the way to the back lining, front lining, and round. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to um get our sleeve. So I'm going to do that by bringing the armhole together like this, and I'm going to take the measurement of what we have on the armhole line. Okay, so I will measure the back part of the armhole line, and I'll measure the front part of the armhole line. So whatever I have, I will add them together and redivide to get our sleeve. So here I have my sleeve. So one of the sleeve is going to be a normal basic sleeve, and one is going to be a cold shoulder sleeve. So this one that is longer is 9.5 inches, and that is what is going to be a normal basic sleeve. And this one is 10 inches, which will be the cold shoulder sleeve. So the difference is just 2 inches. I added half an inch allowance for the short one, but I didn't add extra allowance to the longer one. So I came down 3.5 inches here, and I'm just going to use my ruler to connect to the upper part like this. And after connecting, and I'm just going to make that sleeve curve. I believe we all know how to do this because it's just a basic sleeve. But if you don't know how to cut a basic sleeve, don't worry, just let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to link you up to a video that will help you do that. So I proceeded to take the measurement to ensure that it aligns with what I have on the armhole line of the main fabric, and I mark exactly where the measurement aligned. And I am marking my bicep divided by 2, adding only one extra allowance and connecting. So this is all for the sleeve, the one that is basic sleeve, and I'm going to cut out. Once I'm done cutting out, I will work on the smaller sleeve, the shorter one, which is going to be for the cold shoulder sleeve. Okay, so this one here, what I'm going to do first thing first is to set aside 3 inches here. 3 inches, that is what I measure from this folded part and mark. And I'm just adding extra about 1.25, and I'll mark. Now I will come down here by the same 3.5 inches and mark. I will just connect like this. Okay, so you see the way I connected it. Yes, then I will go on and measure and see if it gives me what I have on my armhole line after subtracting 2.5 inches. So after having what I want, I went on to measure my bicep and divide my bicep and measure by add my allowance to it and cut out. Okay, so I am going to fix this sleeve. I will hem the down part of both, so I'm giving it a little curve here so that it aligns with what I have on the armhole line of my main fabric. So like I said, I will hem the down part and the upper part of this cold shoulder sleeve. Then for the main sleeve, which is the basic sleeve, I'll just hem the down part. Then here I will just subtract 1/4 of an inch to make it have a small curve there, and I will notch the center part of this. So I proceeded to hem the up and the down part of the short sleeve. Then on the normal basic sleeve, I went on to hem only the down. So to fix the cold shoulder sleeve, I am going to measure from the shoulder down to 2.5 inches. That is measuring from the shoulder down to 2.5 inches and mark. Then from there I will fix my sleeve. So remember, this sleeve, when I was drafting it, I measured 3 inches. That is the cold shoulder sleeve. So that 3 inches mark is where you are going to place to match up with the 2.5 inches below the shoulder line that you mark on your main fabric. You can see it, 3 inches. That is what I have on the sleeve. while from the shoulder of the main fabric down is 2.5 inches. I hope you get that. So I proceeded to cut out this strip, and I'm going to use it to neatly hem this part of the coat shoulder sleeve that is looking rough. So I'll place right side facing right side, and I'll stitch, then I'll also turn it and top stitch neatly. Okay, so that is what I went on to do, and you can see the part where I top stitch neatly, and you can see it's looking so cute. So the coat shoulder sleeve is not too big. So what I'm going to do now is to join the side. I'll go on and join all the side from the sleeve down to the length of my outfit, and I'll take it to the table. So here we are on the table. So while joining, ensure that you pin this neckline down like this. Bring them together and pin the round neckline. And I join the side and open iron it. You can see how beautiful it's looking with the curve fully showing. So what I'm going to do now is to cut out to show you the skirt part which I've cut out. So this skirt part here, I got the length by, I measured from the shoulder to the waistline of the main outfit that I've already sewn. Then from that waistline, I measured extra 3 inches. So mine was 18 inches altogether, because from my shoulder to my waist is 15 inches. Then when you add 3 inches to 15 inches, you have 18 inches, right? So that 18 inches, I subtracted it from my overall full length of my dress. I subtracted 18 inches from the full length of my dress, and that's whatever is remaining is what I used to cut out the part that we're going to pleat. I just hope you understand what I just explained. Well, if you don't understand, ask me any question on the comment section and I'll definitely answer. So the length of the fabric for the pleat, that is the length of that skirt part, is 3 times my waist circumference. That is round waist circumference multiplied by 3. Now what I'm going to do now is to place my tape on the shoulder and mark that same 18 inches I mentioned. The 15 inches, which is the half length. Okay, the half length is 15 inches. That is what I marked from my shoulder down to 15 inches. Now I'm going to pick the side that is going to go up and mark 3 inches. You see the side where I marked 3 inches, right? Yes, that is the side where the gathers will go up. Then here I am just subtracting half inch from the hem. I subtracted half inch from the hem, and I'm going to make a curve like this. So this curve doesn't have any particular shape, or there's no ruler to get the shape. You're just going to use your free hand to curve, and once you get the perfect curve you want, or the exact curve you are comfortable with, then you are good to go. So that is what you see me doing here. I am using my free hand to be curving until I get the exact or the desired curve, and I'll proceed to the next stage. So after getting the curve for this front part, now I'm also going to transfer this curve to the back part. Of course, the back part looks exactly like the front part. Okay, so I'll measure what I have, and whatever I have, I am going to use it to get my gathers. So I was not measuring, I have 24 inches. Now 24 inches multiplied by 2 give me 48, because I'm going to have the front and the back. That is why I'm multiplying it by 2. So what I'm going to do is, I went on first to make my gathers, and after gathering my fabric, I have my 24. Remember I said the length of the fabric, that is the wideness of the part you're gathering, is 3 times your waist circumference. So this is what I have for my curve. Okay, and I'm going to look for a way to transfer this curve down to the back part. So if you want to use this my method, the first thing I advise you do is use your pin to secure the hem of the back and the front together. You can see my own, as I'm trying to mark, they are going apart. One is going up, making the other one longer. Okay, so please go on and secure with your pin so that it will be very easy for you, because mine I had to curve and recurve and curve and curve until I get what aligns with the front because I didn't secure the hem with my pin. So don't repeat my mistake. Secure with your pin before you trace the curve into the back part. So as soon as I was done tracing the curve and I'm satisfied with what I have, it will be time for us to sew the gather, that is the skirt part with gather, into the this upper part. So remember, when I was joining the side, I closed the zipper allowance with loose stitch, right? So that is what I am loosening out. I'll go on loosen it out and trace this shape into the zipper allowance. Okay, that is what you see me doing here. So once I'm done sewing the skirt part to it, I am going to attach my zipper back. So I'll go on and do that. So I was done doing that, and here is what I have. You can see the chalk marking. I follow the chalk marking, the exact place that I marked, and you can see how beautiful this dress is. And I proceeded to attach my zipper. Like, I got a lot of compliments because of this dress, and even some people who saw it asked me to replicate it for them. That is to show you how gorgeous this dress is. I will encourage you to try it and come back and thank me later. Okay, so I'll go on and hem the down. After hemming the down, I am going to use my hand needle. I'm going to also overlock the inside and use my hand needle to tack this opening down, and that will be that for it. Thank you so much for watching. See you some other time.